This week, the most discussed comics of 2018, the most discussed news headlines of 2018, and we screw up a lot. It happens. Check it out. It's Previews World Weekly. It is going on right now. Should old acquaintance be forgot? Don't go anywhere just yet. We're still here. It's Previews World Weekly. It's all new episode, and I am Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we're here every week to remind you guys to stop at a comic shop and get involved in the world of comics.
And of course, Happy New Year's.
Yes.
And you know, resolutions. This is the time of year for that, right?
Yep.
Or actually, it's past the time of year because it's January 2nd.
It's
now.
true.
But I was curious. What are your nerd New Year's resolutions? Like, you know, everybody wants to do like, you know, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to diet better. But what are your nerd New Year's resolutions?
For me, it's definitely I need to read more comics.
Okay, yeah, that's always a good one.
I read books more often than comics, and I watch movies and TV more than I do either of those anymore, right? So I want to get back into comics, get back into the. I mean, I read them, obviously, but not as much as I feel I should.
Right, you want to wade full, both feet in, all the way.
Get involved.
Try to experiment with some new stuff.
Like I say all the time.
All the time. Get involved
in the world of comics. Seriously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would really like to actually get some more stories under my belt. There's so much good stuff out there.
There's a lot
especially all the stuff that I've really been discovering because of us being on this show.
Right,
I want to do it.
Yeah, no, the catalog is, we get the catalog every month. You know, I've been doing this on the marketing side for a while, and I discover stuff all the time, you know, and so many good things just pass by because, like, you know, you're reading like something else, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm totally behind that. My nerd New Year's resolution. What do you call it? Nerd Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Resolution. There you go. Is less comic oriented actually, because I realize it's always a trade-off with me. I'm either really big into like movies or I'm really big into comics, and right now I'm really big into comics. And so I'm trying to find a balance, and I think what I'm going to do, and I've talked about this to some of my friends before, is I'm going to ditch Netflix.
Whoa.
Right. Because I have that monster queue that I never really quite get through, but instead I'm going to get DVD.com. This turned into an advertisement, sorry. But
you're going to sort of go old school to force yourself to
watch the stuff I want to watch. You know what I mean? Not just like have things that are like suggested to me all the time, and I'm just sort of like, I'll go watch Bird Box or something like that. You know, I want to, like, as deliberate as I am about my comic book reading, like I want to be more deliberate about my movie watching, you know? So just not, instead of just watching whatever Netflix shows me, you know? Yeah. So we're going to ask you guys later in the show about your nerd New Year's resolution, and you'll have an opportunity to win a bundle of some of the most talked about comics of 2018. But speaking of comics, Enemy is here, and she's going to show us some of the titles on comic shelves today.
Hey Previews World! Every week we give you the rundown on some of the books hitting the shelves for the first time. Here's what's at comic shops this week. For more info on these titles and others, head on over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases.
It's like another great lineup of stuff. What are you looking forward to?
One book I'm going to try to give another shot to is Champions. The initial run of it was a little slow going for me, but Jim Zub, I've heard, has really kind of like picked up the pace. He's doing some really interesting things with these characters. This is all the new generation of Marvel characters, so it's Miles Morales and Kamala Khan and the Kid Nova. I know that's not his name. Don't comment about that. But yeah, I'm just very curious about the direction of it because like I feel like these characters are finally getting their footing with Jim Zub. Particularly this writer. So, what are you looking forward to?
I'm still looking at that Stranger Things comic.
Oh yeah.
It's a good book. I mean, we're following Will in the
upside down.
Upside down. And he's sort of hunkering down right now in this one. He's coming to the sort of tail end of his wits and stuff. So it's getting sort of dark.
Getting dark.
And of course,
which is what you want from Stranger
Things.
Things.
Yeah, it's what you want for sure, right? And again, this is the side of the story I feel like most people were really looking for.
Yeah, right. Well,
I mean, so what was happening down there while he was gone the entire season,
exactly,
right? So,
yeah. No, I mean, we did an interview with Jodie Hauser, and like, she talked a lot about like just people wanting to know more about that. So it's really cool that Dark Horse is doing that.
Yeah.
I also got to point out, I've said this a million times, and now it's canceled. It's actually canceled. Silencer number 12 is the final issue of Silencer. I've been stumping for it so hard, but they canceled it. It was part of DC's New Age of Heroes books. It was personally my favorite of the bunch. It's pretty much about Talia al Ghul's League of Assassins and one particular assassin and how she's trying to get out. It's very John Wick-like. I've mentioned that before. But at least with 12 issues, hopefully there'll be a nice grand finale, which this book is promising. And it's been a fun action-packed book. So yeah, if you get a chance, pick it up in trade, check it out. It's Dan Abnett. He gave us some of the best Guardians of the Galaxy stuff and some of Annihilation from Marvel. And he's a 2000 AD guy. He's just done really cool stuff. So definitely check him out. What else are you looking forward to?
Hexwives.
Oh, right, yeah, from Vertigo.
So we're on to the 3rd issue, and it's just like conceptually really cool. It's a coven of witches who apparently became too powerful, so they had to be put down by the local like men's organization, essentially. And so they sort of wake up in this sort of Stepford Wives, cookie cutter suburbia.
Oh, like personal nightmare.
They have to rediscover themselves. They don't know that they were witches.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's actually a really cool concept.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that about that book. That's actually really interesting. Also out this week is Heroes in Crisis number 4. Number 1 came out this year. It was very controversial, and some people love it or hate it. If you're still on board, definitely check out number 4. It's a continuation of that series. Also out this week, actually, is also one of my picks, is Conan the Barbarian number 1 by Jason Aaron and Mohammed Asrar. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, Mohammed. It's Marvel's bringing the character back to their universe as well, because apparently he's going to show up in the Avengers books. But yeah, it's got a great cover by Saad Ribic, a great painted cover, and it's Conan. It's Jason Aaron, who's written some really great Thor stuff. Everybody loves this Thor. I can't see him doing bad on Conan. It's kind of like a no-brainer. So definitely check that out. And we mentioned earlier that we're going to give you an opportunity to win one of the most discussed books of 2018. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, what are those titles? Well, there's 3 of them, and we're going to show you one of them right now. Here's Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy.
The Joker becomes a hero. Will that make the Dark Knight a villain? Batman White Knight. DC's iconic characters. All-star writers and artists. Intense, provocative, daring. Batman White Knight.
That was Batman White Knight by Sean Gordon Murphy from DC Comics. It's definitely one of the books that people have just talked about a lot. Like, that's kind of how we're gauging this bundle that we're giving away, is like the things we've heard people discuss the most often. So like definitely check that out. And actually there's going to be a sequel in 2019 called Curse of the White Knight. So get ahead of that by participating in the contest this week. Now we're going to do news, and we're going to switch it up this go around. We're going to try to do more of a discussion format, and we're going to talk about the big news headlines of 2018. So let's check it out.
So yeah, let's take a look at the top 5 stories that basically everybody's been talking about on the internet, right?
All year, yeah.
So first up, the Fantastic Four returned, right?
Right.
And we've got the team of Dan Slott and Sarah Pichelli, right? Fantastic team for a fantastic team.
Actually, I don't know if people knew quite what to make of the Slott and Pichelli specifically, but she's a great artist, and like Dan Slott gets an unfair amount of shade from the internet, I think. Like, he's done some really great things for Spider-Man. He did Superior Spider-Man, which I loved personally. And, I think, like, he has a very upbeat style, and that's perfect for the series. And now we're getting, actually, a really big milestone. We just got one last week where he married off 2, like, long-time characters together. So, I mean, the book's going in the right direction.
I think so.
I know people are a little salty about not actually seeing Reed and Sue in the first issue, but it's an arc. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, come on. You can't give everyone everything all at once all the time.
Right, you got to come back month to month, right?
got to keep you wanting more.
Right. And I mean, of course, this is on the heels of like, you know, that Marvel Fox beef that people try to explain over and over again, but it's probably got so many layers to it that it's not even worth like going over.
Yeah.
You know, I will say this. Ultimately, I think Marvel was right. Yes. It's their characters. And I will say that. And, you know, if they have to take them off the board because a studio's making them look bad, then so be it. I mean, that's just how it works. You know, I mean, it was sad. I mean, they were Marvel's premier team.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I mean, they were the characters that started off this line of great creations by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But they're back, and, you know, Marvel Legacy, which was like their big initiative going into the new year, last year, really feels right. And I feel like one of the reasons is because of Fantastic Four are part of this this line of books. I don't know, was there anything else that you wanted to bring up about that? Or?
Well, I mean, you know, there's always the potential that they'll come back to the big screen anyway.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
so, like, they got their characters back. They've got them back on track with the comics. And maybe we'll get to see a story worth watching. Yeah,
exactly, right? And I think that's more than likely if it's Marvel Studios.
Absolutely.
So, there you go. What else? What other big news items did we have?
So, 2018 was the 80th anniversary of Superman, right? And his debut in Action Comics #1, right?
Yeah.
And it was also the year that they reached their landmark 1,000th issue.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is big news.
Yeah. I mean,
the first superhero comic too.
Right. And I mean, honestly, people keep saying the first superhero comic. They keep adding that, like, kind of like, you know, that little specification. But I mean, how many other books have actually just made it to 1,000 period, like uninterrupted? You know. Yeah, I think it's really cool because, well, first of all, it was easily Johnny, our editor, did a tribute video to Action Comics and to Superman's 80 years. And it was the most popular thing we produced all year, you know. So, I mean,
folks like their Superman.
Folks like their Superman. I think it's also a nice reminder these are like modern myths.
Yeah.
And they are passed down from generation to generation, just like myths are. And, you know, I think that, like, like these celebrations are important, you know. So, Superman.
It's good stuff. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic.
He's a classic character. So yeah, I'm all for that. What other weird, crazy things have people been talking about this year? I know it's coming up. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Next up is the Batman Damned controversy, right?
Yeah.
So that book came out.
Yep.
We got to see a little something.
Yep.
And a lot of people were like, "Whoa."
Right. Yeah.
And DC has sort of backpedaled on it as well.
Yeah, they have.
Which has been interesting. I mean, it's part of the Black Label.
Yes.
Right? Which is supposed to be for mature readers.
People keep saying that, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. Like, I mean, I go back and forth about that because I think like I think it's more creative focused, but at the same time, like, they kicked it off with a very mature title.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, but
and there are a lot of titles that aren't labeled mature that probably should be.
Yeah, I think that's actually the real problem.
And there's a lot of controversy there. I mean, people talk about all the time about how we have all these female superheroes basically half naked all the time anyway, and why this is a big deal because it's a man, right?
I mean, well, okay, maybe, but you know, it's funny to me because Brian Azzarello has always done this. Like, if you've ever read any of like his 100 Bullets, it's always like Lono walking around butt naked.
Whatever.
Right, yeah.
It's still art, guys.
I will say that I mean the reaction I think is because it's Batman. It's a household name. It's you know, he's a legacy character. Like, you know, we were talking about modern myth a second ago. But at the same time, I was guilty of overreacting to it too.
Oh yeah.
And I got checked by Ashton. Ashton was like, "Troy, you're being a nerd right now." I was like, "Okay, fine." But I think the bigger
take off the fedora.
Take off the fedora. There you go. But like, I would never wear fedora. But like, I think the unfortunate thing about this is that like it's actually a good story.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of the problem is because like now like, you know, for like a week like, you know, Colbert was talking about like, you know, they call it Batwang, right? That's what they were calling
Batwang.
You know, and like no one's actually talking about the story, which is actually like a nice reimagining of the DC supernatural heroes, you know, and like it unpacks like the mythology of Batman as we've always known it, and it's a gorgeous book on top of that.
Right, the art is gorgeous for sure.
And like it's just it's kind of unfortunate. Like I will say this, DC opting, at least from what we last heard, opting not to reprint it, might actually be good for comic shops in the long run.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is like, you know, of course there's always going to be some sort of speculator market in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, if it creates a feeding frenzy for that issue #1, which I have.
Might as well stir the pot.
Right, yeah, might as well stir the pot. And like, you know, if you're a store that was sitting on a bunch of copies, might as well start flipping them, right? So, you know,
true.
I mean, it's not all bad. I just, you know, I always get, my end point always with these things is like, are they talking about the story?
Right, and if they're not, then yeah, I get that that's an issue.
Right.
But that's also, you know, a social issue.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, it's not the comic, it's us as people.
It is, yeah.
So, we should probably just get over it and try and read the comic and enjoy it for what it is.
Fair enough.
I mean, it shows the humanity of Batman as well, which is kind of important.
And it's not the first mature Batman book that's been put out. No, of course not.
And they were also saying that if they do any reprints, they're going to be blacking it out anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the digital version already had that, but
exactly.
we don't care about the digital version. So
we want comic books.
We want comic books. What else was going on this year?
Saga went on indefinite hiatus, right? Which is a huge book.
Yeah.
It's been around since 2012.
Right.
Right.
It has been a hit from day one.
Yeah, exactly. Like over and over and over again. People love this book. And so, yeah, Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples just decided that they were going to put it down for a while, right?
Yeah.
We still don't know.
Yeah, I was about to say, did they give a reason at all?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting.
Not that I could find out.
Just rejuvenate their creative juices or something,
probably.
Maybe,
or work on, I mean, they did work on Saga and other things in tandem, but perhaps they do need a break from that to work on some other stuff. I mean, whatever the reason is, it's their reason. They're allowed to have reasons. They're, you know.
Interesting. Yeah, I like Image. This is of course an Image book, and like Image got hit twice this year because they also put Deadly Class on hiatus simultaneously, and I'm like, oh god, if Walking Dead ever went on hiatus,
yeah, oh my god, be dead. They'd be the Walking Dead.
Yeah, right. The fact that it's it's indefinite too. It's an indefinite hiatus.
Yeah,
right?
well, it just means that we don't know if it's ever going to come back or not.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because I mean, as far as I've never read the book. I've read the first issue of it, you know. But like, I'm assuming that they didn't really round off the larger arc.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
But safe assumption.
Yeah.
It sort of felt like it did come out of nowhere.
That's rough. Yeah.
Yeah, for anybody really loving and reading that book.
Yeah,
no, my characters.
Interesting.
I know how rough that can be, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, we always joke about Serenity or Firefly getting canceled, and like people just being like, you know, what's next?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But here's something that was actually really popular and like it got put on hiatus. What other big news did we have this year?
Finally, we have the loss of Stan Lee.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest news.
Yes.
Right.
Biggest news for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he was absolutely a legacy.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. No ifs, ands, buts about
this
it.
is industry's legacy for sure.
Yes.
Right,
yeah, exactly. But it was interesting for me to look at his personal background. I didn't actually know how he started or anything, and apparently he really dreamed of becoming a novelist.
Right, yeah.
Which was really cool to me. He wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
And he started at Timely Comics as just like...
Yeah, like a low man on the totem pole.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
like an intern,
yeah,
basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, it was owned by his
cousin, his uncle,
his
something like that. Yeah.
Husband or something like that.
There's some familial tie there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, his cousin's husband.
Yeah.
So it was just sort of like the family, like, hey, you need a job, right?
Right, yeah.
And he was like, okay, this seems like something I could maybe get into in the meantime. And then, of course, it became what he is.
Yeah. And he did it pretty deep into his, like, I mean, when he really kind of hit his stride.
Yeah.
He was actually almost 40, if I remember. He actually might have been already 40 at that point in time. But, like, yeah, it's just really interesting. One of the other aspects of this was the Bill Maher thing that followed immediately after that. And, like, look, so we're not going to get into politics. We're not going to like delve too deep into that stuff. Right. But like I do watch Bill Maher's show. I find it amusing, but I do not always agree with him. No. Right. But that's actually kind of the point of his show.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I thought it's interesting because on his show he's always calling for civility. You know, he's always calling for civility. Like that's been his pattern for like the last, I want to say, year and a half.
Which feels really ironic.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, like the guy just died, and then like you followed that up with like, you know, blasting not only like his significance to the culture, but also like an entire industry.
Right.
You know.
Rough.
So
rough.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do.
And like super negative, opinionated.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Just nasty to be nasty.
Just rude.
Yeah. And like, just the amount of shade that he threw at like just
unnecessarily.
Lee, like, you know, inadvertently his family, like inadvertently his legacy, or
Us.
directly his legacy, us. Right. I mean, that's like the last piece of the puzzle.
nerddom, basically, right? I was like,
and it came down on him, which I was actually very proud of.
Yes.
So.
All corners of the internet were like, excuse me?
Yeah, right, excuse me. But yeah, like, of course, Stan Lee was not the only creator who died. He was very much well known, like, you know, to the larger, you know, pop culture sphere. But like, you know, I also want to give a shout out to Mary Severin, who created Spider-Woman. She was also a very key member of the bullpen for Marvel during the 60s and 70s and early 80s. I also want to point out Norm Brayfogle passed away, and Norm Brayfogle was my Batman. Yeah. Like when I got into Batman, Norm Brayfogle was doing Batman. So like, you know, that's another major, like, you know, just a major player in like the industry. Yeah. Jim Novak, who was also part of Marvel's bullpen, Carlos Escuera, which we did a video about, and you can check that on our YouTube page. Also Gary Friedrich, who co-created Ghost Rider. Yeah. I mean, you know, these aren't small things. No. Mort Walker. They're important people. Mort Walker, who was the creator of Beetle Bailey. You know, so we're getting into comic strips now. And of course, Steve Ditko, who also passed away this year. You know, we can't dwarf his significance. I mean, he gave us the Question, but ultimately, Burt Rorschach. He of course gave us Doctor Strange. He also gave us, you know, Spider-Man. Yeah. So I mean, like these aren't small things, but I just want to make sure that we acknowledge, like, you know, those people. And of course, if there's anybody else we forgot, which I'm sure I have, like, you know, I'm sure there's like I saw there's a few manga creators who passed away this year. Yeah, let us know. Put it in the comments. Like, you know, these people deserve to be recognized, and Bill Maher's a jerk.
You're not wrong.
And these people need to be recognized for the impact they've had on people's lives just through creating.
Yes.
You know, because art is important.
It is very important.
Yeah. And speaking of art, you know, sculptures, toys, that's also art. And Natasha's here. She's going to show us some of the toys that have hit comic shelves this week. Take it away, Natasha.
Hey Previews World, Natasha here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new toys and collectibles in stores today. Here's this week's Previous Toy Chest. And your local comic shop has even more to offer. Support your LCS by visiting them today. As for me, I'll see you back here next week.
And of course, that's only a taste of what we've got. If you want to see what else we've got going on, you can head over to PREVIEWSworld.com/new releases and see what we've got.
Yeah. And here's our second title, one of the most discussed books of 2018. Yeah. Check this out. I know a lot of you read this one. Check out Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman's Venom, available from Marvel Comics.
When Venom #1 comes out, some time has passed, and things are not going super great. Something is happening to the symbiote. You know, in the past, Eddie and the symbiote have developed a very kindred friendship. Something that was kind of skipped over in the story of Eddie. Eddie never really had that moment of being terrified of this crazy alien, right? Peter certainly had it, but Eddie kind of accepted it. And that was something that I wanted to really explore. And so something's happening to the symbiote that terrifies him. It's starting to speak in this other language that Eddie can't understand, and it's driving him insane. The symbiote is starting to be very cruel, and it's starting to kind of operate without Eddie's consent.
There are certain stories in the Marvel Universe that redefine characters, kind of what the Dark Phoenix saga did for the X-Men, or what Born Again did for Daredevil. And here with Venom Rex, I think Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman are redefining and telling the Venom story for our generation.
The symbiote is not something that should be taken lightly. I mean, it's weird. It's really weird. It lives inside of your brain and like goes through all your veins and stuff. That's awful, right? And what kind of dude is Eddie that he's just super cool with that? I don't want to say too much. The first arc is called Rex. The opening scene takes place during the story of Beowulf. If that tells you anything, it certainly means that I've been let off the leash on this thing. And I'm kind of going ballistic. I should be reined in.
And that was Venom from Marvel Comics by Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates. I think the cool thing about this, now I haven't read the book yet, but the cool thing about this is that Cates is a fan. And like I say that because like I saw a tweet like not too long ago, somebody came up to him at a convention or something like that, and he was just like, you know, I really like this. I haven't read Venom in years. Like I really like this series. Like, you know, like thank you for doing this. And he was like, well, it's because I'm a fan. And I think it shows. You know, I think that's really cool. And I think that's probably I like to believe that that's what people are responding to.
Sure.
Like when they have like so much conversation about these books. And I see it all the time online. People are just like, Venom's really good. Cosmic Ghost Rider good. Donny Cates is gold right now. That's kind of like the gist of it.
He's got it going on.
He's got it going on. But yeah, so definitely check that out. And that is 2 on our list of the top 3 most anticipated titles, most discussed titles of 2018, not most anticipated. And so we're going to give you one more. But first, let's show you a few bloopers from this past year. So we've been doing a show for like about what, I want to say 12 episodes. And we've been doing a weekly show every single week. Like, you know, it's not easy, but it's fun. It is definitely fun. But part of the fun is, and our editor will not agree with us on this, but part of the fun is we get to screw up.
We do it a lot.
We do it a lot. And we laugh a lot.
Yes.
And so we just want to show you and show you proof of that. And of course, we also have our little spotlight videos that we also do. So you're going to see myself, you're going to see Thea, you're going to see Gretchen, you're going to see Natasha, all of the Previews World family. Check this out. This is just a little blooper reel that Johnny put together. So thanks, Johnny.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
Hey Previews World, welcome to the Indy Edge, where we bring you the ever-evolving, ever-diversifying world of creator-owned comics. I messed up the line, let me do it again. For those of you looking for something seasonal and bloody, check out, I don't know how to say that word, Kotobukaya. Kia. Finally. I can't even say finally. Check out Kotobukaya's, damn it, it's Kia. I can do this. Check it out, Kotobukaya.
Don't act like you're better than us, Thea.
That was lovely.
Ever-diversifying world of creator-owned comics, and I messed up the line again, I'm sorry. Check it out. Check it out. I can't say it, I can't say check it out. Part of the Horo Bishujo. Check out Kotobukaya, me. It's Kia, right?
Blip, 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 blip.
I'm apparently like spitting on my iPad too, which is real exciting. We've got a lot of cool stuff dropping this week. So first up, we've got the Carpton? The Carpton?
The Carpton?
Captain Carp?
Captain Carp.
Captain Carp. The Carpton.
Is Brie Larson throwing fish at people? Your face. Keep
My
going.
face sometimes just does what it wants.
It's whatever it wants to.
Huh?
You good. Thea face. Like it's okay. The monkey from Family Guy.
Whoopsie.
Wow.
In an amusing twist, it turns out that the submariner... Mariner. In an amusing twist, it turns out that the submarine... Putting that on my list of words that I'm never allowed to say again.
Why did my brain do that? You have one line.
I have
What
one
are you
line.
doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? All you have to say is, we'll get it right eventually.
Trying to be possessed by someone who can talk right now. There is no Harry Cavill.
There is no Harry Cavill.
Testicular torsion.
This puppy can hold so much freaking spaghetti.
That's just in my brain forever now.
Yeah.
Part of the horror bijou. Okay. Finally. Part of the horror bijou line. Nope, that's not it. Check out the Kodo book. Really? Butts. Did you see the thoughts go out of my brain? Because that's what just happened. Was my opening line? Sorry. Hey, Previews World. Blah, 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 blah. Ever-diversifying world, Berg. I can Indy Edge. And you can discuss.
I'm like, do I look like I've been weeping? Totally insane.
That wasn't even a word. That was just a sound.
Talking's hard.
Whatever. What do you know?
What I know.
Why are we here? Damn. Or not.
Or not.
I could just walk out.
There
I
you
was
go.
born a joke.
Ooh. All right, sorry. I'm talking too much. That's the problem.
I don't know why that did it, but there you go.
There you go.
I can't even with you right now.
Wow.
Only half of my fingers are cold, but not on the same hand. My brain was like, what? Fingers. Yeah, I got a little weird there. Not trustworthy.
Not that.
I'm a mess.
Thanks for watching Talking Toys. I'm Natasha, and that's what I had for you today.
Bleh. At least we got that bit. Hooray.
Check out Kotobukiya's. Did I say that right? Hell yeah! Nailed it.
Well, that happened.
Yes, it did. Happened over and over again. Happened on this show,
Yes.
actually. So.
And after multiple takes.
After multiple takes, yeah. See, Johnny always reminds
Sorry.
us.
Trying my best.
I'm actually shocked I'm not on there more because I like this show alone. I'm just stumbling through everything.
Made of dumbs.
Made of dumbs, yes. Just a big pile of dumb. There you go. 6'4" dumb. Yeah, so, you know, definitely like, you know, we have one more thing that we're going to do, and it's actually the almost blank. See, I almost did a blooper right there.
Yeah.
So we're doing the most discussed titles of the year. And so here's the third one. It's actually from Image Comics. It's Gideon Falls, and it's Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. And like, I think it's cool because I think for a lot of people, those names alone were enough to pick it up.
Yes.
So like Sorrentino and Lemire did Old Man Logan. They did Green Arrow. Lemire alone is just like super prolific. Like he's like writing like a bazillion books right now, and his name alone can move a lot of titles.
Sure.
And it just so happens that Gideon Falls is one of Image's big breakout titles of the year.
Yeah.
Like of course you have Saga, and you have Walking Dead, and you have Deadly Class, but this is one that debuted this year, and it just blew up.
Yeah.
So and the idea here is basically about a monolith. In particular, it's actually about two conspiracy theorists.
Yes.
But at the heart of this is a monolith that like just appears out of nowhere. It's called the Black Barn, and it drives people insane. And it just pops up in your town or your city, and just everybody loses it.
Yep.
And actually, I mentioned Bird Box earlier.
Yeah.
It's actually very similar to that.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so definitely like check that out. And now we're going to find out actually how you can win Gideon Falls from Image Comics. So let's do that.
So, well, not just that, right? We've got the package deal. So if you guys want to win all three of the comics that we mentioned, which is White Knight,
Batman White Knight, and
Venom,
yep.
and Gideon Falls, you want to win all three of those guys. Let us know what your nerd New Year's resolution is. Leave us a comment on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching us. We'll take entries until noon, and then we'll pick one of you guys, and you can win all three of those comics.
Yeah, and so, you know, hey guys, have a happy New Year.
Absolutely.
You know, this is new opportunity for new things and new comics to check out. And that's it for us this week on Previews World Weekly. I'm Troy Jeffrey Allen.
And I'm Thea, and we'll see you at the spinner rack.
Thanks for watching Previews World Weekly. If you like the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes.